Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought that we would do a full face of products that are really working well for my mature skin. These are my everyday products that help my skin look its best, look healthy, don't look as maturing, or don't highlight the areas of concern very much. So I wanted to share them with you today and give you some mini reviews on these products. Now, as you can see, my eyes are done. I use a different eyeshadow palette almost every day, you guys, but I am going to be sharing some products that go around the eye that I think are key to making sure that your makeup looks good every single day. But before we get started, I just wanted to say, if you're new here, welcome. We like to talk about all things beauty. If you're not new, welcome back. Please don't forget to hit like on the video. Make sure and share it with a friend that you think might like it or find it useful. And go check me out on Instagram and TikTok. All right, let's get into it. As always, the products that I'm using today will be linked down below. Some are affiliate links. You don't have to use them, but it's an easy way for you to find the product online that I'm talking about. And it doesn't cost you anything or anything like that. It's just a link for your convenience. Okay, the first product that I want to share is the eyebrow and eye products. Again, I use a different palette every single day, but I do think it's a good idea to talk about my brows. Now, I hardly do my brows on camera, and that's because it does take me a little bit. You guys, I have really sparse, light brows. And so I wanted to talk about the pencil that I always just keep coming back to. There's a couple pencils that I like. I'm not very loyal to my brow products, but I'm just always impressed by this one. And this one is the Benefit Give Me Brow. Oh, Precisely My Brow Pencil. It's just creamy enough so that it glides on perfectly, but it's waxy enough to where it's not going to slip and slide everywhere. And so it just helps me like fill in the brows very quickly and get the shape that I want. Again, this shape I am creating myself. You guys, my brows are so different, so sparse. And so this is a really good brow pencil for that. Because I'm filling in or drawing in a lot of my brows, I want to give it that natural look, and I would like those little flicks of hair. So for that, I always use this one. This is the NYX Lift and Snatch pencil. This one's in the, I think, dark brown. I'll check right now. Oh, it's in the espresso shade, and it just helps create just like those little hairline strokes there. And if you can see, let me bring you in closer. It looks like that's hair there. You know, it doesn't look like super drawn in or boxy or anything. You can see like little flicks of hair there. They're actually done with this. So this is a really good pencil too. Or it's not a pencil, it's a pen. Another part of making sure that my eye makeup looks good, I have maturing eyelids. They're a little crepey. I have hooded eyelids. And I do love to wear eyeshadow. And so I don't want my eyeshadow creasing. I don't want my eyeshadow to look busted or wear off throughout the day. I want it to stay perfectly in place, especially if I'm using a color like today, because I feel like with neutral shadows, like you can kind of get away with it, but not with color shadow like this. And so I always use an eye primer. And the eye primer that I've been loving that's kind of a dupe for a higher end alternative is this one by Alter Ego. And it's just called Eyeshadow Base. I think it's like $8, you guys, but it's really good. It reminds me of the NARS Budge Proof or Smudge Proof eye primer. Same exact formula. It works perfectly. I've worn my eyeshadow for 15, 16 hours and it does not budge. It doesn't go anywhere. So this is key to making sure that your makeup looks good on maturing skin, okay? Or anybody. This is eyeshadow on anybody. Okay, on to primer. Now this primer is going to be specific for this time of year. It has gotten so cold in Texas this week. It was like a low of like the 30s, a high of 50. I mean, it's been really cold, even though last week it was like in the 80s, but that immediately dries down my oily skin. I have oily skin, and I do think that as we get older, that's kind of a blessing in disguise. You want to hydrate your skin as much as possible, but I have naturally oily skin. But even then, so when it gets cold, my skin dries down. And this is one of the primers that I've recently discovered, but I'm loving so much. It's the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Primer. It like hydrates your skin, and it creates like a yummy, like bouncy base for your foundation, but it doesn't make me oily, which is one of the things that I look at. That's what it looks like there. And I just like to put it, you know, in all areas. And like I said, it's going to make it look, I think the name Luminous makes it feel like it's going to be like super oily and you know, glowy, and not the case. You can mattify it down if you want, but it also does provide like a nice luminosity. But more than anything, I just love how it evens out my pores, my complexion. It doesn't overly dry my skin, so that especially during the winter months, you're not left with like dry patches or anything like that. So it looks really, really nice. See, it's like a very healthy glow. I wouldn't even call it luminous. It's just like a healthy glow. And I really, really love it. Primer is one of those steps that some people don't think it's necessary. I always have, because I have oily skin, because I have large pores. I like to like, you know, kind of fill those pores in a little bit, make the base just more even. I used to have like combo skin, so I was dry around the perimeters and oily in the middle, so that was another reason I used primer. But I just find that like makeup will last longer. It looks smoother. It really preps the base for foundation, and so I love it. Okay, I've let my primer sit for just a minute or two, and I'm gonna go in with a foundation. I like to rotate my foundations as well. Lately, my go-to has been the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. This video is not sponsored, by the way. I'm just, you know, just wanted to share. But other foundations that I like for my skin, my mature skin, during the winter season are going to be the Armani Luminous Silk. I love the Chanel, the No. 1 Day Chanel. Look at how much I've used. I'm so proud of that, because when I tell you I love it, I love it. I hardly ever pan a foundation. And I also really, really like this Ilia True Skin Serum Foundation. It's really good. I did have to work extra hard to mattify this during the summer, but since it's winter, it usually looks really, really good. More in the drugstore or mid-range option, I do love the Misha Perfect Cover BB Cream. This stuff is beautiful, you guys. I buy it on YesStyle. I can link it, but I think I've even found it at Walmart.com sometimes. And then the last one is the Ulta Beauty. This is the Complexion Crush Medium Coverage Foundation. It's so pretty. It's their brand's foundation, but it looks gorgeous. So anyway, today I'm going to use the Ilia Serum Skin Foundation. And what I'd like to say about this is, as we do it, one thing that I wanted to highlight on this video is not so much the foundation that I'm using, because I gave you some options, but the tools and the method as to how I make the foundation look really good on my maturing skin. I'm 42, and again, I'm gonna have like the large pores because of the oily skin. I have a few like fine lines here, a little bit here because my Botox is wearing off, but sometimes it gets a little dry or textured in this area here. I'm getting older. My skin's starting to lose a little bit of elasticity. And if you cake on the foundation with a sponge or whatever, it's going to make those areas even more pronounced. So what I like to do is I like to just like dot it wherever I'm going to put the foundation. This is like one of my go-to brushes. I have another one by Anissa Beauty that's really pretty, but this is the BK Beauty 106. It's the round one. It's not the one that's super popular like the 101 that everybody loves, which I love too. But what I like to make my foundation as skin-like as possible is I like to just buff it in. I buff it into the skin. You want to create like a second skin, and going in circles and buffing it in like this will give you that look. You'll get the coverage, but you won't get like the cakiness. You won't have like this thick layer of makeup on top of your skin. Okay, so as you can see, that looks really, really skin-like. I mean, I'll just get close there. You can see a little bit of coverage, but it looks really good and even. Concealer. Concealer is one of those things when you have maturing skin, we have lines, the fine lines that are forming, and we want to be careful with that. We want concealers that are creamy, because typically under eyes are going to be a little bit drier than the rest of your face. We want concealers that are not going to crease and that are going to be long wearing, and a lot of the times full coverage. So I have 4 concealers here, and I'll link everything, and I'll just quickly quickly explain, give a mini review of them so that you can kind of figure out which one would work best for you. The Lancome Tinted Doll, this was like a best of beauty last year. It's such a good concealer. This one's gonna give you, I don't think full coverage. I just think like they call it like an all over concealer, and it's like you can almost use it as foundation even. I've seen people do that, but it gives a really nice coverage. It's like a thinner formula, and it doesn't crease or anything, and it's long wearing. So again, it's not like full coverage, but it's gonna do the job with a very thin formula, and I just love how skin-like it is, and it's never ever drying. Then we have Pat McGrath. Pat McGrath, this is like a crazy concealer, you guys. This is a thicker formula. It is extremely full coverage. It's never going to dry your under eyes. I have oily skin but dry under eyes. It's never going to dry it, but it's a thick formula, extremely full coverage, and it's like one dot here, one dot here, spread it out immediately, and that's all it takes. If you let it sit too long, it will cake up on your face and you won't be able to blend, okay? So this is the type of concealer that I recommend, like doing one eye at a time. Don't do concealer everywhere and then go back and work it in, because it's not gonna work in the best. But if you do it the way that I tell you, one eye at a time with just a tiny bit of product, it is the most beautiful concealer. It's extremely full coverage. It's not going to crease on you. You almost don't even have to set it. I set it because I always set every concealer, but it is so good. A lot of people's holy grails. The next one, it's a little bit of a newer one to me, but it's the Armani Luminous Silk concealer. They sent it because we did a campaign together. Again, it almost like reminds me of the Lancome Tinted Doll. It's very skin-like. Again, not full coverage, but it's going to give you a really beautiful finish. It's going to give you exactly what you need for everyday wear. If you're doing like a more glam look, Pat McGrath, or the one that I'm going to talk about next, is your girl. But I like this as an everyday, very natural concealer. I don't know why they call it Luminous Silk Concealer. I don't feel like it's luminous, but I love it. This is the one we're going to use today. And then my holy grail concealer for 2023. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is so good. Cannot stress this enough. Extremely full coverage. It's going to give you the full coverage like the Pat McGrath, but this is so creamy, which is weird because you don't have to set it if you don't want to. I have forgotten to set this concealer, and I did have like a tiny little line like early in the day, and then I just like tapped it out with my finger and it was perfect the rest of the day. But it doesn't make sense because it's so creamy. And I'm talking about the Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer. Oh my goodness. This is gorgeous. I can't say enough things about it, but if you want like a super dolled up, super glam look, I have a gala coming up this Saturday, and this is the concealer I'm going to wear because it's going to look so beautiful, so like very extra, very done up, but in the most beautiful way. This is your girl here. These all work so beautiful for under eye concealers for maturing skin. Today we're going to use the Armani Luminous Silk, and I'm just going to look, it has this like larger doe foot here, so you can see that. It almost has like a little, it's weird. It's got like a little scoop in the middle, but I'm in the shade 5.5. I didn't go extremely like light to brighten up my under eye because again, like the way that I see this concealer, it's like my everyday concealer. So I don't want it like too brightening, just enough, but still wanting it to look natural. And as I'm blending out the concealer, another hack or trick, if you haven't been around very long and maybe haven't heard me say this, is when I'm getting ready to do my under eye concealer, I'll show you what I do. I always like to spray my concealer brush. This is the A506 from Angie Hot and Flashy and BK Beauty. And then I start to blend out. I don't know, it just helps the concealer spread a little bit better, and I feel like it helps the concealer last longer. It just gives like a really nice skin-like appearance, but it's almost like setting the concealer at the same time. So I really like to do that. Oh my gosh, did you guys see, by the way, that BK Beauty and Nikki LaRose is like this popular makeup artist on YouTube. She's starting to kind of grow on YouTube. They're collabing. Very exciting, but This is one of my favorite concealer brushes. So there we go. Very easy. Looks good, natural, but it covered everything that it needed to cover. It does. I guess it is a little bit luminous under here. But we're going to set it next, and I want to talk about the product that I use and how I use it. Okay, so I always set my under eye no matter what. I just like to do that. And my go-to product that has been my go-to product for almost 3 years is the Pat McGrath Under Eye Setting Powder. I guess over 3 years. But I like to put it on a velour puff, and I like to press it in. This is such a blurring powder, and it's not going to dry the under eye. I like it in the shade banana, or not banana, yellow, because it gives a little bit of brightening. So even if you had a concealer that was the same shade as your foundation, it would still brighten a little bit. But do you see? It looked good without the setting, but it's still, you could see like a little bit of the hollows of my eye. Once you set it, it just flattens out that area, you guys. And it gives the illusion of it being very, very tight under your eyes. You don't have that hollow anymore. It just looks flat, and it looks a lot more flattering. This powder is extremely blurring, and it's not drying, and it's not thick. It's like a very light, finely milled formula, but it just makes your under eyes look really pretty. I like to touch every area that the concealer touched with this powder, just because it is so blurring. Okay, this next step I don't do every single time, but I do feel the need to set my face a little bit. So I like the Laura Geller powder foundation. It has this really beautiful like marble type of texture to it, and it's not like super mattifying, but it sets the face very, very lightly. So I like to do that when, for example, this Ilia foundation, it's a serum foundation, so it doesn't set on its own. So I just very lightly with a big fluffy brush will set the skin with this powder foundation. And it won't take away like that skin-like appearance that the foundation gave the face. You see that? But it will give it a little more longevity, because I work really long days, you guys, and I need that. Powder foundations is one of those things that I've never really used. I discovered them more this year. During the summer, the one that I love is the Makeup Forever HD Skin Powder Foundation. It's so, so good. But I need something a little bit lighter for this time of year, and this foundation is really good. Okay, so today I'm just not going to focus on cream products very much, but I do want to show you like what my go-to are for maturing skin. And so it hands down has to be the Hourglass products, you guys. I do love my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I love my L'Oreal Infallible Pro Bronzer. I love my Gucci. Where's my Gucci bronzer? My Dior bronzer. These are all really, really pretty, but I just feel like during this time of year, again, your skin's starting to get a little bit drier, and the Hourglass products have like that built-in like luminosity to them. What do they call it? They call it like, they call it like the ambient lighting powder. They're just so pretty, you guys. So these are my go-to for maturing skin. It also is nice that it's all in one palette, so you can just use it together. An alternative option right now, especially during the Sephora VIB sale, is this one by Sephora. These face palettes are also really good, and it gives more of that luminous finish to the face. I think I'm going to go in with this one. This is the one from 2020. But, you know, they have the Jellyfish, the Jaguars. They have these from last year. Any of these palettes will do, and they're just so flattering on mature skin. The only thing that I don't like about them is the pans are kind of small, so I like to use a smaller brush. But I'm going to go into this bronzer here and just start to build slowly. Again, like with maturing skin, you don't want to use too much product because it's going to make it look cakey and really accentuate all the areas that you don't want it to accentuate. So you just start building slowly, and it gives a really beautiful natural look, but it gets the job done. Okay. You see how it just gave that nice little shadow? Nothing too crazy, nothing too snatched, but it gave exactly what you needed to give. I like to do a little bit here on the jowls. Is that what it's called? The jowls? I pulled an individual Hourglass blush that I'm just liking. This one's in Diffused Heat, and very simple, beautiful, everyday color. And again, I'm sure you can tell, like, the vibe is like it has to be a powder. If you're going to use a ton of powder, which I do use powder products, it has to be a powder that's going to look very natural, very seamless on the skin, so that you don't have this thick formula on your cheeks. I get really textured, and like you can start to see some loss of elasticity in this area. So that's why I try to be really careful with the powders. Highlight, I just can't stop using this. I bought it just a few months ago. No, maybe like a year ago. But I already have dips in these pans because it's so good. This is the highlight that I use. I use this almost every single day. It's just a really simple, very natural highlight. The formula is really good. This is always sold out. It's from the Dior Backstage line. It's $40, but it's so worth it, you guys. It's gonna last a really long time. And again, the highlight sometimes can highlight, you know, problem areas, but this is so smoothing on the face and it never accentuates fine lines or anything around this area. So I really, really like this formula. I do also like the Hourglass formula. It's a really good highlighter. Okay, so I like to be a little extra, and I'll tell you why. Staying on this Hourglass train, one thing that I like to do to wrap up my look before I put on my makeup setting spray is going to be these Hourglass Ambient powders. I have two. I have one in the diffused light, which looks white, but it's just translucent. And I like to put that under my eyes as a finishing powder. So we did set the under eye with the Pat McGrath powder, but this is a finishing powder. And I don't know how to explain these powders, you guys, but it has like a micro smoothness, and it has like it's not a shimmer or anything like that, but it just accentuates, like, not accentuates, it gives like this inner glow type of look, like an airbrushed finished look. And so I like to finish my makeup with it. So I do diffuse light under the eyes and then dim light. This is like a peachy mid-range color for them, and I just go all over my face. And it's so light, I mean, you can't even feel it. If you swatch it, you can't even feel it. And it just gives like, I don't know how to call it. Like, it's like a luminized, like finished airbrush look. I don't even know how to explain, but it's beautiful and I love it. Then what I do is I always like to set my face, not only because I have oily skin, but I have long days, and you used powders on your face. So in order to create that like skin-like look, setting powders are what's going to finish off the face. So I like, my go-to is the Charlotte Tilbury. This is like my holy grail. This is what I use every day. It just works so well, and I do notice that my makeup lasts longer with it. Okay, so here's the finished look. I do want to use this lip oil or lip gloss. I just did like a pinky lip liner, and then I'm gonna do this lip gloss. I haven't tried it yet. The formula is very thin. It's not as thick as the Dior lip oil. And it has like a peach scent to it. That looks so pretty. So what I do is I just use a lip liner and then I use a lip oil. If I'm going for a specific look, I'll use lipsticks. So some of the brands I like are Lisa Eldridge, Gucci lipsticks. I like Pat McGrath lipsticks. I think that they're flattering on the lips. But usually what I'm doing is I'm doing any lip liner. Good lip liners are the Charlotte Tilbury lip liners. I do like the BK Beauty lip liners. Lisa Eldridge lip liners are very creamy. And then I top it off with a lip oil. And so that's going to help make the lips look a little fuller, a little healthier. It's going to eliminate some of those lines. For the lines, you guys, or as we get older, we kind of lose pigment on our lips. One product that I like to recommend is the Drunk Elephant, the Lippy Balm. That one, I don't know what it does, but it brings back the pigment to your lips. And it just kind of, you can even use that. It's a chapstick. It's like a little thick chapstick, and you can even use it around your eyes. I mean, the stuff in it is really, really good, and it like plumps up those lines around the lips. So I'll put a picture up here. But this is the finished look. Now, the last thing that I did forget to do is 2 steps. So I like to look awake and alive and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And so I like to go in with a bone-colored eyeliner. And actually, let me use the one that is actually my favorite, which is this one from MAC Cosmetics. This one is called the Full Sleeve Gel Pencil Eyeliner, but it's this like bone-colored shade. And I like to put this in my waterline. The way I see it is like, I like to do like brightening pencil during the day. And if I have like an evening event, things like that, then I'll do like a brown or a smoky. I try not to do black because I feel like it closes up my eyes quite a bit. But do you see how it just kind of brightened up my eyes there? Just a tad bit. And I like that. It makes you look like awake and fresh and ready to go. I have like tighter set eyes. I have lash extensions right now, so we won't talk about mascara, but I have tighter set eyes, so sometimes if I smile too much, the lashes from the bottom would touch down the skin here. And if you're wearing a mascara that smudges or like wears off, it doesn't look cute. So this is the mascara, you guys. This is the MAC Extended Giga Black Play Mascara. It's super tiny. Like, look at my hand. It's super tiny. And the wand is like super, super thin, which I like because it really grabs all the little lashes down here. And the most important part about this mascara is that it does not smudge. It doesn't wear off. It doesn't give you raccoon eyes. I've even like cried in this mascara. And it's not a tubing mascara. Some might call it a tubing mascara, but it's not. But it doesn't smudge. It's a really good formula. I've used it for a couple years now, and I really, really like it. And it just kind of finishes off the look. So there you go, guys. This is a full face of products that I use every day that really help maturing skin as our skin is changing, losing elasticity, starting to see signs of wear and tear, as I call it. It's gonna just make you look put together. It's going to help not hide those areas, because I do like that my skin is showing like the laugh lines, things like that. But it's just going to make it look so pretty and natural. It's not going to look cakey in those areas. And yeah, it's just going to make your face overall look better. So that is the finished look. I don't show any texture here, even though there's a little bit of wrinkles here. So I like that. Everything looks healthy, glowy. The best that we can look at 42, which I think is a really good age. So anyway, let me know what your go-to products are down below. Let me know if there's other little techniques or little tips or hacks that you use in your everyday makeup routine or makeup, and share with us below. But these are the products that I like to use. These are like the ones that really work well for my skin as I'm maturing. And yeah, wanted to share. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.